Hello and happy almost Thanksgiving to all the viewers in the United States of America. I have a very special guest today who has woken up really early to join us. And so I want to thank her especially because not only is she an accomplished author, but she helps authors accomplish. Ooh, I like that. So I'm going to bring her on right now. Her name is Bev Ryan, and here she is. Hello, Bev.
Hi, I like that phrase. I help authors accomplish. I can do that.
Yes, you can. I love it.
Nice
I
to meet you.
just it came to me. That's why I do my
Yes.
so thank you so much for getting up super duper early to talk to us. I think we should start with a bit about you and how you help authors. So why don't you tell us all about it?
Okay. Well, I'm a book coach and a book production manager. So that means in the early stages as a book coach, accredited with Author Accelerator, which is an American company, I can help authors plan their books. So I specialize in working with nonfiction books. So most of my clients are in business of some kind. They might be solo entrepreneurs or have a small business or professional services or whatever. So I think one of the critical things that I feel I can do with an author is help them plan their book robustly so that when they sit down to write their book, they know what they're doing and they'll achieve the goal that they had originally in mind. And the other end of my business is a production. So I work with a team of editors and graphic designers. So we help authors bring their books to life once the manuscript's written. So I kind of see myself as, I help them start, I help them finish.
I love
There's a
that.
big space in the middle, though.
That's on them, right? They got to be the
Well,
writer.
there's help available as a book coach, so I can also help in that space. But I think my strengths are the starting and the finishing.
Mm-hmm.
The time it takes to actually write a book can be short or long. It can be this, and people will have to find their own best way of finishing the book. Of plugging, staying with it, and working through it and finishing it. And they may need outside assistance, or they may just need to rearrange their time or whatever. So
I have to rearrange my brain because I've been editing my manuscript and I'm tired of looking at it.
Yes, you do. You get to that point, and you also start. You miss details as well because your brain is so used to what what it thinks is there or what
Right.
should be there.
When I was in graduate school for journalism, one of the things they always told us is to read it out loud.
Yes.
But who wants to read their book out loud if they're sick of reading it in their heads? I don't know. So today I emailed it to my husband and he says, "What's this?" I said, "My book. Can you read it?" And he said, "Right now?" I said, "Forget it." So anyway, enough about me. so you're helping them accomplish the beginning and the ending stages, and you too are a very accomplished author, and you have written a book. And we're going to talk about Smart Women Publish. And so you can get some really fun extras if you go to this is smartwomenpublish.com/extras. So tell us about Smart Women Publish.
Well, it came about because I was already working with assisting mainly women to assisting them to plan and write their books, and obviously I needed to have a book myself because people say, well, have you written a book? And I had published magazines. I published many magazines, which meant that I did know how to, and I'd written some articles, but I knew how to write. I knew how to produce books because producing books is actually much simpler than producing magazines with many deadlines, over and over and over. So I just decided to put a book together, and I deliberately obviously chose to write it for women, mainly because publishing had done such a huge thing for me. When I kind of fell into publishing magazines in my 40s, it was such an exciting thing to produce something in print and see it out there in the world, and it brought about such great change in myself personally because I'd achieved that amazing thing. And I just knew so many women would go through that same experience if they were able to publish their own books, that just the confidence you get from the process and the self-pride that, wow, I did this thing. So that's why I sort of chose mainly focus on women. And I do work with men as well, because women refer men to me to assist them. But so I just decided to put it all together into a book. Smart Women Publish. It's a manual. It's a little bit about having the confidence to do it, a little bit about mindset, how you don't need to do this thing alone. You can find the right people to help you through it, because it can be a big job. And then it's really just the steps, and a lot of it, the early part of the book is about the planning and deciding who the book's for, what you want to say, who it's for, what do they need from you. And that's the really critical part, I think, of writing a book. Is knowing who your readership is and knowing what they want from you. So I was really, within my book, I was really clear who my readers were and what they wanted from me, and what they wanted to learn from my book that they could put together, put into action in their own life. So I just tried to break it down into logical steps. And obviously it's enough to get, I think it's enough in the book for women to get started on their book. And there's also the kind of an outline of the publishing steps that are required to get the book out there in print and get it out into the world. So it's a sort of a how-to manual with enough information in it that people can think, wow, I can really do this thing. I'll get started. It's got lots of space in it for journaling. So as a chapter, sort of a how-to chapter, there's questions, there's space to journal. And at the end of every chapter, there's a success story from women that I know who've published books. So,
yeah. That's fantastic. And I was reading yesterday the statistics about women who publish nonfiction. It's very sad.
Quite low, yes.
Very low numbers of women publish nonfiction books. And if you look at, what are the top nonfiction books on Amazon, they're all written by men. So I love that you are specifically calling out women and saying, we can publish nonfiction as well.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And and there's all sorts of levels of nonfiction. Some of the most successful nonfiction books in the world have been quite uncomplicated, but they just hit the mark. They've got the right information for the right people. And it's all about transformation within a nonfiction book, knowing who your reader is and knowing what transformation they're looking for. I'm sure we've all got stories in our lives where we see a book and we think, oh my God, that book's for me. I'm really struggling with something. And I got into publishing because of that exact same situation. I was going through personal dilemmas in my 40s, thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I don't want to teach anymore. I don't want to work in the government anymore. I just saw a book title in a bookstore. I literally was walking through a bookstore, looked over, and I saw this title, I Could Do Anything If I Only Knew What It Was. And it's an American book by Barbara Sher. And that title, that's me. I know I could do things, but I don't know what I want to do.
That was the universe telling you to
I bought that book. I went to a coffee shop and I started to read. I did all the exercises in the book. Every exercise she said to do, I sat there and I did them. And out of that, I started a publishing business. So that book changed my life. And I think that nonfiction books can do that. And they don't have to be complicated. They just have to be, like I said, know who your readership is, know what transformation they're looking for, provide it to them in your own quirky way, because somebody's going to like your own quirky way. You don't have to go off and study literature or whatever.
No, not for nonfiction.
You need a plan, you need a structure, you need an editor, you need all the good things, yes.
And then you need marketing afterwards, so people can read the book.
Yes, and one thing I want to add there, which is where we overlap, is that right at the start of the book, that's part of the conversation before they even start, is what do you want your book to do for you? And as I said, most women I work with have got a business, so they're writing a book so that will help grow their profile or the credibility of the business, all of those things, which is what you help, when the book's either almost done or done.
Right.
And it's so critical to think of that at the start, because it's a little bit too late to think about those things when they've written a book that's probably not quite right for what they want to achieve.
Yeah. And the good news is you can always do a second edition with Bev.
Yes. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. With print on demand now, I've updated my book just probably I think a year after I'd done it, or maybe 2 years. I just have updated it a little bit in terms of layout, but it's it's minimal cost, and you can definitely do that. Yeah.
It's a good thing. It's not like we're, in the 1450s with Gutenberg and his printing press. You really can
Mm,
update in a much quicker way. So I
yeah.
love it. That's a great point.
Mm,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah. I've got another client her book came out early last year, I think. And she's been through a major life change this year. So now she's really just going to redo little sections of the book because her business has changed, because her life changed. So, yeah, they're there. Then, even though they are in print, then you can still make them. You can still work with them. Yes.
That's so great that it's not, in stone
No,
anymore,
that's
and
right.
and that you can update it. And I love that you mentioned about this woman had changes in her life and
Mm,
she needed to change her book, because if she's changing what her business is, she doesn't want to be leading people to the wrong thing.
mm, mm.
So
That's right. And most of her business, the structure of her business is the same, but her what she cares about within her business has changed slightly. So
yeah.
she just wants to add a bit of slightly different messaging through the book. So
Mhm. So tell me, who is the perfect client for you? The perfect person whom you can really help, with their book, the beginning and the ending.
mhm. I think with the beginning, it is somebody who's, I was going to say they've got some idea well, yeah, it's a good question. I think, well, the main thing that people need to have, if they're going to write a book, it has to be a deep desire to do it,
Mhm.
because otherwise the flame's going to die in the writing process. Um, there's a lot of people advertising, write a book in a short period of time, or write a book, it'll grow your business. And I do market a little bit like that. I don't market a lot, but I certainly, that's a key message, is that a book can help change you and your business.
Mhm.
But it's really critical that they've just got a deep desire to do the process, to do the work, because there's work. It's work, but that work can be. I mean, the work of writing a book, it's so transformational for the writer as well. Um, well, yeah, it's to me, it's a little bit like going off and getting a degree at a university. You're going to learn so much. It's a self-directed study from my point of view, because you're bringing together not just what you know, but you also, I would think, would probably be researching other people, other ideas, other philosophies, bringing it together into your own manuscript. So you're learning. Some people might think, well, I'm not an expert on my topic. How can I write a book? I'm not an expert. And you don't have to position yourself as the expert, but I'm sure by the time you finish writing a book, you're going to know a hell of a lot more than you did at the start. So even the writing will increase your expertise. But if you don't feel like you're the expert on something, as I said, don't position yourself as the expert. You might bring in ideas from other people who you feel, well, they're the experts, but you might curate that information in some shape or form and be, kind of lead you're still the author, and you can lead the book the direction you want it to go, but you
Exactly.
don't have to be in the spotlight every minute within the book. So going back to your question, the desire, I think the desire to go through the process is really important, and understanding that it is going to change you as well as hopefully change the readers in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, that transformation piece is vital. Okay, so we're gonna do a quick spotlight on your book again. Do you happen to have a copy handy?
I don't. I
Oh
posted my I
no!
posted my last copy out last week to somebody who,
Oh no!
and
Okay,
I've ordered more, and I didn't sort of click. Oh, I should have a copy, but
that's okay. So, but it's available, I would imagine, at smartwomenpublish.com. And
yes.
what are
Well,
some of the extras that you have available?
well, actually, if people go into that web address, you've got the extras. They will find a PDF copy of my book. So there you go. It's
All
in
right.
there, and there's a couple of other useful documents in there as well. There's, I think, there's a breakdown of a book cover, what all the elements that will go onto a good book cover. There's a breakdown of the publishing process. And I made a little chart for people to just map out how long they're going to take to do things. So I'll plan my book here, I'll write my book here, I'll produce my book here. So
that's so helpful.
just
Okay,
useful little documents.
Yeah, this is so helpful. Okay, so this is your Thanksgiving gift to everybody watching.
Yes.
And because that is going to really help people who
Mm.
are smart women and smart men and they want to
Yes. That's right. It's great. As I said, I regard it as a workbook, and it's like the book I mentioned earlier. When I found it and I sat down, and I did the exercises. You kind of got to do the exercises. It doesn't matter what book you're reading. It's one thing to read an exercise. It's another thing to actually sit down and do it. And so that's the book is designed that way. So just play around with it, take time out, have some fun, throw some ideas in the pages. Yes.
Love it. Okay. Bev Ryan, thank you so, so much for being here today. I appreciate that you got up early to grace us with your beautiful presence.
It's not that early.
Okay.
7 a.m. is not, it's okay.
Well, it's early for some people.
It's true.
Definitely for me. Anyway, thank you again so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to talk to you.
Of course, wishing everybody a wonderful holiday. And if you don't celebrate, then I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much.